everyone, and welcome to the Boopcast, episode 38. A little bit of technical difficulties there, don't mind us. We are your hosts, SheNoob and...
Cory.
And joining us this week, we have a couple of very special guests, TheElenaFisher and CrimsonVein, who are two wonderful members of the Noob Army community. And Elena seems to be doing something right now.
Easy, darling.
Okay, so before we start, do you guys want to explain a little bit about yourselves and how you got into RWBY, starting with Crimson, because he's under me?
Alright. Just where I want to be. Alright, so...
We're just going to ignore that and keep going.
Yeah.
Dirty
Alright,
bastard.
so... a little bit about me is that I live in the US, obviously. You can tell by the accent, if not by the sincere lack of caring most of the time. I got into RWBY back when I was in my final year of high school. A friend of mine showed it to me on his laptop, said, "Hey, look at this. This is pretty cool. It's by the same guys who do Let's Play and Red vs. Blue." And I saw it, and I saw the red trailer, and I was just like, okay, that's cool. Where do I see more of this? And then I just started following it, and then as the series progressed, it just became a very big part of my life, and I introduced my friends to it, and it's actually a big part of how I actually met Elena. Because she and I met on a RWBY-themed chat forum through Facebook Messenger when that opened up. And we've been best friends and progressed to the romantic relationship we have now.
You guys are so disgusting.
You know, 1 year anniversary.
Really? Has it been a year?
Yes, it has.
What the fuck?
Almost. It's a year and 3 days from now.
That's insane. Oh my gosh. Time's going too fast. Holy crap. Alright, Elena, what about you? How did you get into RWBY?
Hi, hello. I was here last time.
Yes, you were here last volume. Yes, Elena's been on before.
Yes. I'm Elena. If you don't remember me from last time,
Why do you look like a ceiling?
There we go. There's
Thank
that
you.
beautiful face.
It's not beautiful. Shut up.
We need to set up a cute emote for her too.
No, please don't do that.
My sound effects are off right now, or I would totally.
Nice try, Joe.
Nice try, Chose.
And I got into it ever since, like, a little before, RWBY Volume 1, Episode 8 released.
Okay.
And also, I have a gaming channel now. I don't know how this happened, but it happened.
Yes, I've put Elena's main YouTube channel in the guest command there. Is that the same channel that you use for your Let's Plays, Elena?
That's for, like, edits.
Edits, yeah. I've got your edits one in there. Elena does some pretty incredible editing work. We have been working on a RWBY AMV for some time. That's probably gonna come out at some point. That's my fault. But anyway, yeah, she makes incredible edits.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually. And, yeah, so, Chapter 9 of RWBY Volume 6 was the thing, and we need to talk about it. Now, today's Sunday. Usually we would be live streaming the Boopcast on Saturday, but I had to work yesterday, so, we are doing it on Sunday, which means Chapter 10 of RWBY is currently out. Elena is the only one of us who has seen it. The rest of us haven't seen it, and if you talk about it in the chat, I will ban you. Sorry, don't do that. But
The hammer has been raised.
Keep your questions relevant to Chapter 9 as well. We're not going to discuss any of the events in Chapter 10. Oh, jeez.
Everything shifted.
Yay, everything has shifted.
I'm up
Again.
here. I promise. No, wait, it's this way. It's this way.
Technical difficulties, they're great. Elena, is your camera going to stay on or off?
I'm in the middle of something. Keep going.
No worries. I just have to change the stuff over.
Okay.
So, Cory, do you want to get started talking about the episode while I do this really quickly? Because I don't have notes, and I know you do, so...
Oh, the other thing about this episode is we normally discuss the rewind and the RWBY, but we won't be doing that for this episode because there was no rewind this week because they are taking a week off, but we'll talk about it next week. And then the RWBY, we were advised against watching because people said that it was kind of spoilery.
Really?
Well, the thing is, it was about mocap, and people think that... I think people are like... Did you see something in the mocap that people are like is kind of spoilery?
Okay.
I'm just going to say, if it was Adam, if they're teasing an Adam thing in that, I can say that maybe it was from the Adam character short.
Okay.
And isn't teasing an Adam appearance in the future. Or,
yeah, I doubt they would put
granted-
anything in there that spoils future episodes.
But granted, also, like, we are dying. You and I have said it all volume, Adam needs to show up at some point. So if if he shows up, I'm not at all angry about it.
Well,
but that's the reason why we won't be discussing those two.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want him to show up.
I mean, true.
Thanks.
People die.
Yes. Oop,
Adam
excuse
shows
me while
up,
I
people
fix
die,
this.
and so does my patience.
Oh.
I'm just, don't mind me, I'm just moving things around on the overlay, it's fine.
Okay, hi, Pyrrha.
Hi, Pyrrha. So let's put her there to make us all feel super really bad about ourselves.
Oh.
I have her right here.
That was the great one.
Chapter 9. So I was late watching this episode this week because I was busy last weekend. And I didn't see any spoilers, but I was told by basically everyone I know in private messages to watch the chapter as soon as possible. And I was really scared going into it, and I just had a feeling that it was gonna... Because people were talking about them crying at the episode, and I was like, I just had a feeling that it was going to be something to do with Pyrrha. I even wore my Pyrrha shirt to film my reaction, because I was like, I just know that this is going to be something. I'm like, why else would everybody be in tears unless this had something to do with Pyrrha? So, I've been posting every time I watch an episode, like, my thoughts on it. This week, I've deliberately posted nothing, because I was like... I haven't said anything.
I went into this episode with, like, no expectations, no idea what was going to happen, and I sobbed.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to ruin that for anybody, so I'm posting nothing. I even thought about warning you, and I went, no, I don't want her to suspect anything.
Well, yeah. I was already pretty well forewarned that it was going to be not good. So... I went into my reaction feeling very scared of the episode.
Okay, I'm free. Okay.
Elena, just leave your camera off because every time you turn it on, it moves the overlay around. Yeah. So I just had a feeling going into this episode that this was going to be what it was, and I was wondering ever since Volume 5 started whether we were going to see Pyrrha's family at some stage and whether, like, it was going to be addressed. I just I guess I assumed that she lived in Mistral. I didn't even, like, consider the possibility that she could have grown up in Argus, but it makes a lot of sense, so, I mean, well, let's just talk about the episode. I just noticed my camera is super zoomed out. Whoopsie.
Well, I told you this after we'd both seen the episode, that I'm super annoyed at myself, because on the episode 8 podcast, I almost talked about how maybe Pyrrha grew up here, because they talked about the, like, Roman architectural design and all this kind of stuff, and I was like, I should have said it.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, dang it.
Yeah.
I had the feeling, and then it was right.
Yeah, okay, well, let's just talk about the episode in chronological order, because we're probably going to spend a lot of time on the Pyrrha stuff, so...
True.
But there was a scene before that. It's, again, one of those chapters where there's, like, I forget about every other scene in the entire episode but that. So, yeah. We started off at... I don't know where to call the place where Salem is. I guess it's the Land of Darkness, technically, but I don't like calling it that because it sounds cheesy. but
I just call it Dark Castle.
Dark Castle, yeah. Salem's lair.
Pimp Castle.
Salem's Pimp Castle, sure.
The witch's house.
The emo land.
Goodness.
The Shadow Realm.
Salem's domain.
The Shadow Realm.
Yeah. So we started off there with I almost said Elena, Emerald,
Wow.
and Mercury.
I didn't know I was in this.
We started off there with Emerald and Mercury, which I don't think we've seen them since chapter 2, 1.
No, we saw him in 4.
4. We saw him in 4. That's right. After all the story dump. I keep forgetting
Yeah.
that even happened this volume. Like a lot
Yeah.
has happened since then. Yeah, so we haven't seen them for a little while, so it's good to check back in with them. We're getting to see a little bit more of, like, Emerald's kind of self-doubt about everything that's going on. But what surprised me the most in the scene, I think, was Mercury, because he seemed to be a lot more sure of himself than I thought maybe he was. I don't know, I get his motivations, but at the same time, I'm like, I wonder if he's not just saying all of this to make it appear like he knows what he's doing, when really he just doesn't really at all.
Mm-hmm. Well, like, as Tyrion says later in the scene, is like, all he's ever known is violence and death, and he can't escape it. Like, he literally cannot think of life without it. So I think that's why, when Mercury talks about his motivations here, I'm like, I don't know if I believe you.
Yeah. I don't know if I did either. He seemed very sure of himself, but I don't know whether it was maybe just for show or not.
I think it's because that's how he was raised to be. He was raised to be confident, not to doubt himself. Because if he doubts himself, he hesitates, and hesitation could lead to him getting killed. If you're trained to be an assassin, hesitation is the enemy.
Yeah. And it was good to learn a little bit more about Mercury's sort of past as well, because I had a lot of questions after that episode in Volume 3 to do with him and his father. I don't really, understand what he meant about when he unlocked his semblance, his father stole it with his. I'm like, what the fuck kind of semblance allows you to steal other people's semblances? But then we have people like Velvet who can essentially copy other people's fighting styles, so it's not that far-fetched, but I left this scene with a lot more questions than I got answers, which I hate. But yeah, I found it interesting that he didn't mention his legs either, because I feel like that would be a huge part of his motivations as well.
Yeah, like his dad mutilated him.
Well, we don't know that for sure, but
well, I mean,
we knew he had bloodied legs after he killed his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I know we're not supposed to take the songs as canon, but in, oh god, what is the name of that song? Volume
I'm
3.
the One?
I'm the One, yes. He says that he was mutilated by his father. That's something in there.
In no uncertain terms, yeah, he does. But, yeah.
That might be referring to having his semblance taken in some way.
True. But
I'm wondering what Mercury's semblance was, so...
Yeah, I always thought it was his, he had, some kind of ability to control his projectiles, like when he does that spin move in Volume 3 that he used on Yang. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it had something to do with that as well, but, at the same time, his, casings are wind dust, so, we don't really understand fully how dust works, so... I
just wondered if his semblance wasn't wind related, because a lot of people draw the Hermes comparison to him. So I was like, well, I mean, maybe something flying related or wind related.
I thought it might have been something poison related, because Mercury is a poisonous material.
And so I found it really interesting to find out that he actually doesn't have it, and won't get it back. So that was really interesting to me. That he doesn't have that sort of fallback like everyone else has. A lot of people seem to use their
wonder if they'll at
semblance
some
as a
point
fallback.
tell us. I do wonder if some point they'll tell us if he knows what it was.
I feel like they would have given us that in this situation, though.
Yeah, I don't know if they will tell us. Because it's kind of...
Because I don't know if he knows.
Yeah. I think maybe he does know, but he didn't get a chance to explore the possibilities of it before it was taken from him, so...
True. I guess he would have had to have used it at least once.
At least once, yeah.
Yeah, maybe he didn't know what it was, but his father did, and he took it.
Yeah.
He went up, you're doing that magic thing, taking that away.
Yeah. And I also found it interesting how his father told him he could have it back when he got strong. So I'm like, so your semblance takes away other semblances, but you can give them back? I'm confused. Like,
yeah, I don't know. Because it is confusing, because, like, we never got to see Marcus fight. So, like... But that seems like a very useful ability for an assassin to have. But, like, at the same time, it seems like it'd be a weird thing where, like, if he can take them away, why would he ever give them back?
Yeah.
Or, like, I wonder if he didn't, like, give the illusion he could give them back, and really it was just take your semblance.
Maybe, yeah.
And I can't give them back.
It might be the
just a
case
motivator.
It might be the case that he can take it, but only for a certain amount of time, and just wanted Mercury to believe that he'd taken it for good.
Or, yeah, the other way, he wanted Mercury to think that he could get it back by working hard, and when in actual fact he can't. So, yeah. When you said Marcus just then, it took me a hot second to remember that Mercury's dad's name was Marcus Platt. I was like,
you thought his dad was an android?
Fuck is Marcus? Hey,
I hate referring to him as Mercury's dad or Mercury's father. So Marcus is just easier.
Mercury's
I just refer to
father,
him as dad.
I guess, yeah. We have a question which is taking forever to load. Lord Chose asks, do you think Marcus was able to use Mercury's stolen semblance? Probably. I wouldn't see what the point of a semblance like that would be other than to use the stolen semblance.
It might have been a case that it's just like take away what they're using against you, even if you can't use it, at least they don't have it. It's like, I'll just take it so that you don't.
Yeah, because I feel like he would have been a way deadlier threat if, like, you know, he could take all these different semblances on.
Or maybe
or like, even if the argument is he can only use one at a time, like, still...
Or it could be a case of where whatever he lost, like, whatever semblance he last took is the one that he can use, and it overwrites every time, or something like that.
Maybe when he takes another one, he has to get rid of or release the last one he took, and that comes back.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a topic that's widely open for discussion, and we could go on forever about this. But
yeah, we could debate it for ages.
Yeah. I found this scene interesting because Emerald talks about how, like, she genuinely thinks that Cinder cares about her, and Mercury's like, honey, she don't give a shit about you. And I kind of like that.
Smell the traitor.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of like that he was that for her in this scene because she, like, I didn't realize she legitimately thought that Cinder reciprocated her feelings. Because she clearly doesn't. Like, Cinder does not care about either of them, and, like, it's interesting to me that Mercury is so aware of that when Emerald is so, like, blinded to it.
I always kind of thought she had that because of, like, she was so distraught when Cinder was gone. Like, Cinder was the only thing, like, she owed Cinder everything, so she was devoted to her, and in return, it's like how Tyrion views Salem. Like, you imagine that she cares about you, but in the sense that if you do well, she will be pleased with you and acknowledge you. If you do poorly, she will punish you. Which is as close to a mother as Emerald's gotten.
But I think that that's how Cinder actually is, but I think that Emerald thinks that she's, like, so loving and so, like, motherly, or so, you know, like, genuinely loves her back, and maybe takes these gestures of, wow, you did very well, Emerald, as, oh my god, you're the best, Emerald, and Emerald's like, I am the best.
Yeah.
I mean, to put it into perspective, if Emerald got maiden powers, Cinder wouldn't hesitate to kill her. Not even a second thought.
Nope. No hesitation. Yeah. And I feel like this scene's going to be a big point in, like, if Emerald is heading towards some kind of redemption arc, this scene is going to be a big turning point for her. I'm wondering if she will just want to, like, leave to go look for Cinder, maybe. I feel like that's would be her most logical next step. Because she clearly doesn't want to stay. She's not really that into what Salem's doing, and like she said, she hates being kept in the dark, and so does Mercury.
She's already stated she doesn't care about Salem.
Yeah. But what my question is whether Mercury is going to be, like, following her on that, or whether are they gonna split up? Because I couldn't see them splitting those two characters up.
Yeah, I think
he seems kind of hypocritical to me, because he's telling Emerald to wake up and see what's actually in front of him, but he won't do it himself. Like, he believes that Salem's going to follow through on that promise for them to be head honchos in a new world. It's like, dude, wake up. You're blinded yourself.
So stupid.
Blind leading the blind.
So stupid. And he's got to realize that at some point, that he can't actually believe that Salem is going to follow through on everything that she's promising them. Because she ain't.
Because, like, especially with following, like, the other, at least 3 of the 4, like, main lieutenants of Salem, like, they all have motivations outside of Salem, kind of. Or, like, reasons to, like, that they're not just in it for the power. Like, Hazel's in it because he hates Ozpin. Like, he literally he wants to kill Ozpin.
Again and again and again.
And again and again and again. And Tyrion is just, devoted to, like, it's religion for him. He worships her. And then Cinder is in it for the power, but, like, selfishly.
I think Watts is probably in it for revenge, because back in Volume 5, we found out he was a disgraced Adlesian scientist, so he's probably in it to get back at the Adlesians, which is why he's being sent there.
Yeah. But, like, they all have motivations outside of just, Salem's New World Order. Yeah. Whereas, like, Emerald and Mercury don't have that. Like,
yeah. The only thing that was tying them to Salem was Cinder, and Cinder's not there. So,
like Raven said, 2 children you've tricked into following you.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, so...
Still waiting for her to show back up again, by the way.
No, thank you. She can go marinade in her fucking bandit camp for a good volume. I'm done with her. I don't expect to see Raven this volume. I don't see why we would see her this volume. I'm not sure why we would see her after we get to Atlas either. So, yeah, I feel like she's one of those characters that it's interesting because she was so teased for such a long time. And then when she was there to serve a purpose, and that purpose has been served. So now I'm like, I don't foresee a scenario in which we would really see her again in the near future. Because she's fulfilled her purpose as far as the story is concerned. But yeah, I definitely don't see her returning this volume at all. So there's just no room for her, really, with everything else that's going on. With all the other characters they're trying to keep track of and introduce, and bring back at the same time. Speaking of bringing characters back, where the fuck are Cinder and Neo? Like, they have barely been in this volume, and I'm like, where are they? What are they doing?
With any luck, they got stuck with the apathy, but I'm not holding my breath.
I think they took a hard turn around the apathy there, probably.
Wrong turn at Albuquerque.
As we talked about a couple weeks ago, like, I'm more of the opinion now that I don't know if we're going to see Cinder and Neo catch up to them this volume. And that everything we've seen so far is just kind of set up for next volume. Like, maybe we'll see them again one more time, but... Like, as we talked about, like, the timeline is just... They're 3 weeks behind them, and, like, Team RWBY still hasn't moved forward much in their timeline. Like, granted, this next episode, I feel like gives us the best opportunity for some time movement, but other than that, we've kind of only... Everything Team RWBY's gone through has been, like, 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. So Cinder and Neo are still thoroughly behind them, which, I'm also wondering about whether they're going to catch them up by the end of the volume or not. But we'll see what happens.
I feel like it's only going to happen when they get to Atlas, because that's what Cinder said. The plan was get to Argus, then get to Atlas, then find her and take her down.
Yeah, well, they figured they've got a good 3-week lead on them, so wherever they're going, they're going to be behind anyway. So, yeah. But by the time what's happening in Cinder's timeline is happening, the group is likely already in Atlas. So, yeah, that's probably what they figure. Just get straight to Atlas and catch up with them there.
Yeah, no point in tracking them when you know their destination.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so Tyrion's tail was revealed in this scene as well, which I forget about. I feel like it's something I've been waiting for, and then I didn't really notice it when it happened.
I was really hoping his new tail was just going to stay that nub on the end. Just because I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, it looked really strange. What I found interesting about his new tail, though, is that it kind of, like, goes over the entirety of his actual tail, which is interesting. It's not just the end. It's, like, it sits over the top of the whole tail.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense in terms of prosthetics. Like, if someone's got part of a leg, it'll go over the remaining part to fit onto it.
And also, I guess it just looks better than having half a scorpion tail and half a metal tail would look kind of strange. But, yeah, I really like it. I feel like the stinger on the end is huge, though. It could be by design, but... And the venom in it is interesting to me, because is it Tyrion's venom, or is it, like, manufactured?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, too, is because, like, maybe that could be the reason that the stinger is so big, is because it needs to, like, house the
venom,
venom.
The gland that produces the venom would be in it.
Yeah, because, you know, who knows what would happen... Like, I mean, where the venom is produced in Tyrion's body, and just all kinds of stuff. So I feel like that is the design of it, is because it needs to hold all of the venom there.
Yeah. And did it remind anyone else of, like, the Doc Ock claw hands from Spider-Man 2 a little bit? Like, the way it just sort of slinked over his shoulder and was, like, looking at Emerald and Mercury. I was like, that really reminds me of Doc Ock.
I can see where you're coming from with... I can see where you're thinking of that, but at the same time, it reminded me more of Scorpion for obvious reasons.
Well, I'm not familiar with Scorpion, so...
Scorpion's another one of Spider-Man's enemies. He's actually stung by a radioactive scorpion.
I don't read the comics. But, yeah. Yeah, it just kind of reminded me of that. I just thought it was a little funny, but, Tyrion, I love any scene that Tyrion's in, because he's such a wild card. You never really know what he's gonna say. And I do like that he sort of pointed out all of the flaws in Mercury's reasoning for everything that he's doing. And he was like, oh, come on, like, you don't seriously think that you're, you know, gonna, like, kind of hinting that they're thinking about it all wrong, but at the same time letting them know that they can't just leave. Like, that's not an option for them. Like, you can't go anywhere. You can't do that. That's not going to work for you. So
you're in over your head. If you want to get out, you're welcome to try, but you're either going to die or face dire consequences.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to play with you if you do.
Exactly. Well, I mean, he plays with everyone. That's Tyrion's thing.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
He's doing what he loves.
I just loved how embarrassed Mercury got when Tyrion showed up, where he was like, I was having a moment with my girlfriend. Go away.
I know, right? He was like, oh shit, he totally caught me emoting just then. Crap.
All right, I'm a tall guy.
I played Minecraft.
And Elena's back. Yeah, so I liked that Tyrion was kind of playing with them there, and he mentions that him and Watts are off. I can't remember where he said they were going.
To Atlas.
To Atlas, right? Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
So I like that kind of reminding me of Volume 5 a little bit, where we're getting everybody's converging on this one place at the end. So, Team Ruby and Oscar and Team Junior are headed that way, Cinder and Neo are headed that way, and now Tyrion and Watts are also headed that way. So
tells me that Adam's gonna find some way there.
Yeah, we still haven't seen Adam. So
I think they're gonna run into him in Argus.
I don't know, because I feel like I don't know if we'll see him in Chapter 10.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just...
We might
I
in
feel
like an off scene outside of what's going to be happening in Chapter 10, because we have seen the title and thumbnail, and I've read the description, and it was more or less what I was going to predict anyway. But if we're like trying to play out Jean's plan of stealing an airship in Chapter 10, I could see us leaving that sort of event for one scene, and if there was one scene they were going to show, it's either going to be Cinder and Neo, or it's going to be Adam. But
we haven't seen Adam since episode 1.
Literally.
And, like, we've talked about 1,000 times, the only way that we are okay with the existence of the Adam character short is if Adam actually shows up and fights them this volume.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it was pointless.
Yeah. I'm just gonna be like, imagine if he was just in the first chapter and then in the after credits scene, and I'll be like, what? But the fact that we haven't,
the entire next volume better be about him then.
No, thank you. I will
The
not
first
watch
scene
that
better
volume.
be Blake cutting his head off.
Please, yes, off him in the first episode. Oh Jesus. What the fuck was I talking about? Yeah, so we still haven't seen him, so I'm not expecting to see him next chapter, but if we don't see him by chapter 11, I'll be very concerned.
Yeah.
Not because I want to see him, I don't, but because, again, with the Adam character short thing, I feel like he needs to show up soon, because he's like had no significance or bearing on this volume whatsoever, considering that he had his own short before the volume started. So, yeah. I'm wondering also if they did that short to compensate for the fact that there would be a lack of Adam in this volume.
Might have been. It might have also been because they introduced Sienna in one episode and killed her in that same episode, so they wanted to see her portrayed more. And with Adam there, that was a good way to do that.
Yeah, well, they talked about on the RWBY Rewind that, like, Sienna's whole existence in the Adam character short is purely fan service. But they didn't make it sound like the Adam character short exists because they wanted to show off Sienna more. It sounds like they just showed her off more because they were doing the Adam character short.
I still don't understand the point of the Adam character short. I was hoping that by this point in the volume it would have become clear, but we still are none the wiser, so I'm wondering if there's going to be just a lot of Adam in like the last 2 or 3 chapters of the volume, or what. I don't know what's going to happen. All we know is that there has been a post, I forget who the website is, but it's the same.
I don't remember the website.
It's the same site that posted the sort of like teaser spoiler last volume where they put the slash through the W in RWBY right before Weiss got impaled. So we can safely assume that things that they say are more than likely going to be accurate, but they've basically put up a post about, and everything has moved again. They've basically put up a post about oh gosh, now I've lost my train of thought completely. The finale of Volume 6, sorry. Saying that it's going to be the biggest finale of RWBY yet, and like biggest season, biggest finale, and all this kind of stuff, and it's going to be major things are going to go down. So yeah, so that's the thing we have to be excited about. Hang on, I'm just trying to fix this really quick.
Yeah, I gotta fix it again.
Yeah. So yeah, after reading that, I've like had to sort of rethink everything about the the finale that I was kind of thinking before. Goodness gracious.
I'm just confused with like how fast we seem to be going with this volume. I'm just like, I don't know, because I mean, obviously, there's going to be stuff that goes wrong.
Yeah. Because
stuff always goes wrong. But I'm like, how are we going to get 4 more episodes out of this? I mean, granted.
I know. We have said that before, though, and they have managed to do it.
But I'm just kind of like, especially with like the implications that it seems like this episode they are moving forward with their plan to steal an airship. I'm like, they're not going to like have them get to Atlas for the last like 2.5 episodes of the season. Like, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
So I feel like John would be the one who's against stealing an airship like that. Like, that doesn't seem like something he would come up with and be eagerly for.
I don't know. Jean's a leader, and he's resourceful, and he's also getting a little desperate. So, I don't see why he would have any qualms against breaking the law if it was really like what they needed to do, because it was their last resort, kind of. You right, Elena?
Yeah, I got a phone call.
Oh,
no.
That's a bit rude.
Like, the worst possible moment.
Yeah, so I just need to fix the overlay again.
I'm bad to fixing everything
I'm
again.
trying to turn it off. It won't.
Cory, you'll have to keep talking while I fix this, because I just need to...
Okay. Well, I guess we basically talked to death about the very first scene, so I guess we can move on to the next scene, which was Team Juniper plus Saffron, or Junior plus Saffron, looking for Oscar. And I'm just really confused by like how the timeline has gone. Like, that's why I'm convinced that there was actually a full day in between chapters 6 and 7, because like it's the same day, but like Saffron's back now with them helping look and stuff. And I don't know, it just seems like there's been a lot that would have happened if this was like all happening the same day they got to Argus.
Yeah, it does seem like the day has gone on for a very, very long time, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm not sure, because they kind of made it seem like Team RWBY and Team Junior both arrived in Argus on the same day, didn't they? Just maybe like hours apart.
I know you still say that, but I still think that, like, you know,
there was at least a day or two, maybe even
like,
a week.
Oh, it wasn't a week. Team RWBY were only gone from them for 24 hours, so...
Yeah, and I think that, like, the rest of that train ride should have only lasted, like, an hour.
The thing is, though, the reason I thought that was because when Terracotta arrived at the house, everybody greeted her like it was the first time they were meeting her. And I feel like if Junior had been there for a day, they would have already met her. But again, it could have been an oversight, so...
or it could have just been them being like, hello.
Well, I mean, Ren said, nice to meet you, so... If they'd been there for a day, they should have already met her. So I'm just like, that's just a little weird, and it's kind of throwing me off. But yeah, it seems like the day is just going on forever.
Yeah.
If it is the same day. Because Oscar kind of disappeared in the afternoon at some point. And then it was nighttime by the time we got to here, yeah. So...
Because the events of Chapter 8 and 9 they've had to have happened on the same day. Like, that was the events of a full day. Because it was, you know, Team RWBY went out, they went out to the military base, got denied. Nora made her comment about Ozpin. They went back to the house, had their whole discussion.
There must have been a day in between Chapter 7 and 8 then. Like, before they actually went to the Atlas Tower. That must have been the next morning. That's the only way that would make any sense.
Yeah.
Because RWBY does say to Crow at the end, you know, you've been gone all day. So, they've been out all day looking for Oscar. He must have disappeared in the morning. But it's the day after they've arrived in Argus. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying
that
earlier.
also adds to the fact that Ren says this city is enormous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, because Oscar was definitely, like, from what we found out at the end of this episode, Oscar just, like, stepped out for a minute. Oh no, we lost
Everything's
Elena
moved
again.
Ugh.
Speaking of stepping out for a minute.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that we've probably, like, the entire story of Team RWBY and everything's taken place over, like, 5 days so far. Like,
Yeah.
I think that seems likely. I hope. But yeah, so I don't know. They continue on looking for Oscar, and then, we can all see that back, just so you know.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
Shit. Alright, hang
I
on.
can't.
Let me minimize this really quick. Hang on, guys. Sorry. Let me just try and fix all of this. I'll just leave those blank for now. Keep
Okay.
talking, Cory.
I'm just a black screen. But Saffron starts to like talk to them about their mission, and they tell her it's top secret. Which, I mean, I understand why. You don't want to tell her about all the weirdness that's going on.
Hey, magic is real. You're the second generation of humans.
Yeah. Whoops. There's the Grim have a master. She's trying to kill us.
Yeah.
And she's immortal.
And she's immortal. We just found out that she can't die.
All hope is lost. Hey, how's the game?
Let's go talk to Adrian. I'm sure this is a world you want to raise a kid in.
Yes.
I mean, it used to be, till about a year ago.
True. But she then makes the comment about, like, how they could just go to Haven and get their license from Haven and then come back to Argus and do, like, Huntsman stuff in Argus. And my first thought was, like, wait, Haven Academy is functioning?
yeah.
Like,
yeah, that surprised me
just-
too.
there was just a major terrorist attack on the school. Their headmaster is dead. Like, huh?
And that's just the stuff that's known to the general public. The inside knowledge they have of how he was working with Salem should immediately put them off from trusting anyone at Haven, for the most part. I mean,
Yeah.
Team Sun excluded.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was a thing where I was like, wait, Haven Academy is still open? Like, I guess they still have teachers, and, like, the whole point of when they did the attack on Haven was because, like, it was only a day or two until students re-arrived at the academy. So,
Yeah, hopefully
maybe...
they stop calling me.
But yeah, so I don't know. I was just confused at the fact that Haven could still be open.
Makes sense.
But then Saffron leaves to go pick up Adrian because she's kind of I think she feels the mood's weird, and she's like, okay, you guys want
Yeah.
to talk about something that you don't want to talk about in front of me, so I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally not invited on this tricycle ride here. I'm a leave.
Mm.
I'm a very awkward fourth wheel. So
Essentially, yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, okay, we gotta talk about the elephant in the room. Yeah, I had a feeling throughout this whole chapter that something like this was coming. And, as soon as I saw that autumn leaf when Jean was sitting there, I was like, oh no. Especially, like, after he kind of sits down and, Ren and Nora are like, oh, we're gonna go get coffee, you want something? And he's kind of left alone to his own thoughts. Jesus, what the fuck is happening here? Sorry, I'm just trying...
Oh wow, DeLena has appeared. That's what's happening.
hey.
Fixing things.
Don't
There we go.
capture me in a Pokeball, please.
But I have one on hand.
No, don't capture me in one, please.
Pokemon nerds.
I don't want to be trapped.
yeah, so as soon as I saw that leaf and, like, Jean noticed it and, like, was like, oh, look, a leaf, I'm gonna go follow this. I was like, why? And I knew it was coming and I could feel it coming. And, as well, because, like, as soon as you see it, you hear Pyrrha and Jean's theme start playing, which is a thing we haven't heard since Volume 4, I think. We heard it briefly in Episode 2 of Volume 4, during that scene in the woods. And then when he, like, walks up and we see the statue, I had a feeling that something like that might be what was going to happen, that there would be some kind of memorial to Pyrrha. I just
because she was famous.
Yeah, she was famous, exactly. I didn't expect to see it in Argus, but it makes sense that this is where that they would put it in. Because I was
kind of questioning whether they would have a statue in memoriam to Pyrrha or not. Because yes, she was famous, but she was also famous for, offing Penny in the Vital Festival before everything went dark.
I mean, I think that the world knows enough about what happened at Beacon to understand that that was fabricated. I mean, Cinder more or less spells it out. So,
But Cinder's comment wasn't about the fact, because, like, they obviously know that that Pyrrha didn't kill a human, but she was like, but why was the student prepared to kill? Like, that was her point. Like, it wasn't.
I don't know. I felt like her point was more about, like, why does the Atlas military need to design a super soldier that looks like a little girl? Like,
well, she had both points. Is because she wanted to build the distrust for Beacon and for Atlas, and just basically people in charge. Like, her point was more like, what are they teaching these kids at Beacon that this girl went to kill? Like, I think that was more the point. And I feel like it had less to do about Pyrrha and more had to do with, like, Ozpin.
Yeah. But again, I feel like Pyrrha losing her life defending Beacon Academy sort of negates anything that happened before that. And yeah, again, she was famous and she was well known across Remnant for being a warrior, and she went to Sanctum Academy, so it makes sense that they would erect a memorial like that in her honor. But when we actually saw the statue and Casey Lee starts singing, I was like, are you kidding me? They made a song out of Jean and Pyrrha's thing. Okay, right.
Of course they did.
Just really wanted us all to cry here. They were determined to make us all cry.
I think the line in that song that resonated with me the most is the fact that, like, at the very end when she finishes up singing, she says, "You're my forever fall," and I feel like fall in that moment, like, forever fall has many meanings there, because it's when Jean cemented himself as the leader of their team, and, like, pledged himself, like, I'm going to look after my team, I'm going to look after Pyrrha, and Pyrrha saw that he can do things on his own, he needs a little help, but he's not useless, he's capable, he's coming into his own, and we can help him. And at the same time, she was destined to be the Fall Maiden, or at least that's what she thought she was destined to do, so she was forever the Fall Maiden.
Yeah.
And she will forever be a victim of the fall, and everyone will forever remember it. It's just multi-level connected with me.
Yeah.
And, I mean, also just then the really on the nose of she will forever fall for him.
That as well.
Mm-hmm.
I have the lyrics up here if we want to actually discuss them in a little more detail. There's not a lot of them. Obviously, there's not a lot of this song just yet. It's very incomplete, but we can glean a lot from what is here. So the words are, once like a dream you looked at me and everything felt new. Pretty self-explanatory. Some people fall in love for life, others never get it right. Love's fickle when it calls. One thing that I know for sure, longer than our lives endure, you're my forever fall. So, yeah, I mean, we can pretty much tell what the entire song is going to be just from this 1 minute that we got.
No, I'm so not ready for it.
I'm not ready for the soundtrack this volume now. I'm like, you can, stay away as long as you, like, Jeff, take as long as you need to finish this, because I don't want it up to knowing this song is in there. Like,
because of one thing, I am so excited for it.
I do want it, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm gonna listen to this full song, and it's going to break my heart, and it's gonna rip it out and throw it on the floor and shatter it into a million pieces, and I'm going to bawl like a baby, and I won't be able to listen to it ever again because it will make me too emotional. But
it'll be worth it.
Yeah, it will be worth it. I mean, there's not a lot there with those lyrics, but it pretty much tells us the entire story that we need to know about the song and what the full version is going to more or less sound like. But Jeff has a habit of surprising us with full versions of songs. So a lot of the time, what we hear in the show ends up being very different on the album. So,
especially these really incomplete ones like this.
Yeah, this is very, very incomplete. This is all of this song that's actually finished at this point, is what they made for the episode. Which is why the soundtracks take such a long time to come out after the volume finishes, because what we hear in the show is basically what they've got by the time the volume ends. They're so busy writing the score most of the time that they don't get time outside of writing songs for the episodes. They don't get time to finish them beyond that until the volume actually finishes. So, I wonder if it'll be sadder than Cold. Probably.
I don't know.
I still can't listen to Cold.
Multi-layered.
I still can't listen to Cold, but at the same time, I feel like Cold was on the Volume 3 soundtrack. It's Volume 6 now. I know that Jeff and Casey have grown a lot as artists since Volume 3, and they've done some amazing things with their music and their lyrics. So I feel like it's... Yeah, I don't know. I was planning on doing a reaction to the Volume 6 soundtrack like I did last year for Volume 5, but I'm like, I'm going to sit there for 4 minutes and cry during this entire song because I won't be able to do anything else.
Maybe save that song for last then.
Maybe not. But yeah.
Maybe just react to that song, separate video.
It amazes me how they can take a tune that was sort of conceptualized way back in Volume 1 and now write a full lyric to it. And make it sound like it was always like that, is the thing. I love RWBY OST reactions. Yeah, so this song broke my heart, the scene broke my heart, everything about it was heartbreaking. The statue, I thought, it looked like Pyrrha, but it didn't really represent her, is what I thought. It didn't really represent who she was.
It was what the public saw of her. Like
yeah, it was what the public...
It was too perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect, and it was very solemn and like with her head bowing and holding her shield, and I was like, it looks like Pyrrha, but it doesn't capture her essence.
Like, I think the thing that threw me off the most is I was like, why isn't she smiling?
Yeah.
Like, because like we always saw her smiling.
Something just occurred to me. Yeah. It's that one of Pyrrha's lines is, "I'm sorry," but the way she looked defeated, holding her shield in front of herself, bowing her head down like, "I'm sorry I couldn't come back to you," or "I'm sorry I couldn't win."
Yeah. And again, that just comes from people who maybe didn't actually really know her, erecting a memorial in her honor. Yeah, just seeing that statue though, just like, and it wasn't seeing the statue that got me going, because I sort of had a feeling before I saw it, but it was reading the plaque under the statue, which said, it had Pyrrha's name, Pyrrhanikos, and then one of the many students who fought valiantly at the fall of Beacon. It didn't say who lost their lives defending Beacon Academy. It said fought valiantly at the fall of Beacon. So
that plaque made me consider something I hadn't considered before, though, was like there were definitely like student casualties outside of Pyrrha.
Yeah.
Like there were like granted she was the only one we saw, but like I don't know. I mean, granted, there were countless civilian casualties as well, but I was like, there had to be so many huntsmen and huntresses in training who died that day.
Yeah. The other students in the Fall of Beacon still annoy me because they're just like useless NPCs. And I'm like, you are all huntsmen and huntresses in training. Get your weapons and fucking fight. What are you doing? They're running away screaming. And I'm like, yeah, I could see some of them doing that, but all of them, besides the main characters, it's just a problem with, like, them not having the resources to animate them or whatever, and it's easier to just sort of get them out of the way. But they were all huntsmen and huntresses in training, so I feel like all of them really should have stood up and defended their school, instead of just this handful of, like, main characters and side characters.
I don't. My take on that was always that those those weren't students, that they were just supposed to be, like, representatives of people visiting from those kingdoms.
They were wearing school, like, uniforms, though.
Yeah, but true.
They were definitely students, and it was just. I think it's just a matter of they just couldn't do it. It was too big of a task to sort of include all of them in the background fighting, which I get, but at the same time, it's not realistic.
I think it's kind of a human nature thing. Like, everyone's got their fight or flight, and when things get so big in scope that you don't know if you can handle it, they think, like, I'm just in training, I'm just a first year, I'm just a second year, I don't have my hunter's license, I am nothing without my team, one of my team members is down, I can't do this without them, my leader's gone, what's happening to them? There's so many things going through your mind that it's too much, and you just run. And even Ironwood said, no one will fault you if you leave. The rest of the cast was like, I mean, come on, we're gonna fight. It's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
But not everyone's gonna do that. A lot of people are gonna be like, if no one's gonna fault me for this, then I'm gonna save my life so that I can try and fight later on, or so that I can just get out of this because this is too much for me, and I didn't know I was in way over my head till it was too late.
Yeah, I feel like, though, those people would be the minority, not the majority. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's what wasn't realistic about it, too.
Yeah, I mean, even Cardin was fighting.
Yeah, right? Even him and his big dumb team were fighting, so not that
Like
we
the
saw
most
the
we've
rest of
seen
it.
of him in Volume 3. The only time.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he was the only one fighting. The rest were dying.
Well, yeah.
Wasn't one of them in the Nevermore's mouth at one point?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
It's been
what was
so
happening
long
with Team
since I
Cardinal
watched
in the
it.
background. It's been a while, yeah. We don't rewatch Volume 3 for obvious reasons. Too much pain. But yeah, back to the scene at hand. Yeah, it was interesting to me that it looked like Pyrrha, but it didn't feel like her. The way Jean looked at that statue, I was like, oh my god, you poor son of a bitch. Like, because I've talked about it a few times in this volume, but Pyrrha must be all that Jean has been thinking about for the last, for the endurance of this day, ever since he learned about Salem and, like, the fact that they're basically fighting a losing battle. That must be all he was thinking about, is because he's mentioned it before in Volume 4, that, like, Pyrrha died for nothing. And I think that's how he kind of sees it up until this scene, is that she died for nothing, for no reason. And, especially because he's aware now of all the fact that they were trying to turn her into the Four Maiden and all of that kind of stuff. And
he thought her death was in vain and that Austin was to blame for it.
And now he probably more so thinks that after learning that the fight against Salem is actually a fight that they can't win, so he must be like, well, great, Pyrrha literally died for nothing. And it must be all he thinks about all the time, and he must feel just awfully guilty about all of it. But up until this scene, that is, and then after this scene, I think he sort of changes his mind about it a little bit. But meeting Pyrrha's family member, now we don't know who she actually was to Pyrrha. A lot of people are going between mother or sister. I
saw one other theory, and it was related to the whole Joan of Arc had visions thing. So people are like, maybe she was a vision. But I'm like, well, she was holding flowers.
No, she was a person. Definitely a person. But I'm leaning more towards mother, just because of the way her hair is cut, and she sort of sounded a bit older, and she was made to seem, I think, like she was Pyrrha's mother. But they deliberately left that ambiguous I think, by not giving her a name in the credits or telling us who she was to Pyrrha, just Pyrrha's relative.
To me, she looked like what Pyrrha would have looked like had she not been a huntress. Like,
Yeah.
if she'd grown older and gotten married and had a family, that's what Pyrrha would have looked like.
Yeah.
Because one thing we've learned in the show is that they have a very hard time showing age outside of just, like, making somebody gray and wrinkly and small.
I feel like Raven is the only character to me that really looks her age. I think
But they gave her so many wrinkles, though.
Yeah,
still.
it has a lot to do with, like, the lines on her face. Where Crow doesn't even have those, and he's the same age as her. So...
Well, there's the whole theory that men age more gracefully than women.
Well, yeah. But... And
Yeah, but still, the alcoholism can't help that.
No, but I think they also wanted to make Raven look a little more... Not haggard, but a little more,
Stressed out?
rough around the edges, yeah. And that's why they
Feathers
gave her
ruffled.
those features. But yeah, I'm going with Pyrrha's mother. Pyrrha never mentioned
Same.
any siblings, so and we've heard enough about Jean's sisters. So yeah, but hearing Jen Brown's voice from this character,
That was what broke me. Second I heard Jen Brown talk was when I started crying, because I was like, oh god, it's her.
well, what broke me was when I read the plot, but I was expecting a family member to show up, because I was like, we're not just going to stand here in front of the statue. Somebody's going to show up and talk to Jean, so I was expecting her voice. And I like that she sounded like similar to Pyrrha, but Jen was so obviously trying to not sound like Pyrrha at the same time. So... Yeah, this scene was bittersweet, I think is the best way I can describe it. It was nice to see Pyrrha's family member and to hear her talk about Pyrrha in such a positive way and describe a little more about her life before she came to Beacon. But the fact that she's talking to Jean about this when she doesn't know who Jean is and doesn't know that Jean was Pyrrha's team leader and that he, like, knew her personally...
She does,
to me.
though.
No, she seemed to me like she did not know who he was.
No, but she said, I'm so glad that she was surrounded by so many kind people and
Amazing
looked
people.
at him.
Yeah, I didn't see that as her being like, I know who you are. She definitely seemed to me like she didn't know who he was.
No, because especially then, like, Jean talks to her, like, about how he knew Pyrrha. And, like, you know, Pyrrha didn't graduate, but she was a huntress, and, like, it seemed like they were then having a conversation where I know you know Pyrrha, and I, like...
Yeah, I mean, and I
feel like it was acknowledged on both sides that they...
from that he knew Pyrrha, but I don't think she knows who he is, specifically.
I think if she saw his shield, she might have known, but it's like, Jean seems to be, unfortunately, categorized into the trope of, who are you again? Because Cinder did the same thing, but Cinder doesn't care.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I still find it so hard to believe that Pyrrha wouldn't have sent, like, pictures home and, like, talked about stuff. And then I was watching Larissa's the Corner of Remnant last night, and they talked about how red-haired woman would have known just from the Vital Festival that...
That's
Exactly.
true. Actually, I didn't even think about that.
The entire team.
I didn't even think
Yeah,
about
like,
that.
we didn't even see round 2 of the Vital Festival for Team Juniper. Like, it could have been Jean and Pyrrha. Although it was probably Nora.
They said
Pyrrha
it was
and
Nora and Pyrrha.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said those were the two that went on.
I didn't even think about the Vital Festival. You're quite right. She would have known just from that, because surely they would have watched it. Yeah, that's a good point. So she must know who Jean is then. I didn't even think about the Vital Festival. So I forget about everything that happened in Volume 3 because I repress it. Because it's painful.
Never leaves my mind.
Yeah, the Vital... That's a good point. So she must know who he is. Well, she was being super weirdly ambiguous then. Like, now that changes my perception of this scene completely.
I think she was purposefully, like, leaving it ambiguous in a way to be like, if you don't want to engage in this conversation with me, you don't have to. But I want to let you know I know who you are.
It's
and
one of those things
what
where
you
it's
meant
like,
to her.
It's like you and I are both hurting. I've been hurting through this because I helped raise this girl into the woman she was when she died. But you got to know her. She was a part of your team, probably your best friend. And I don't know that you two were a thing, but it seemed like you might have been. But either way, we're both emotionally hurt from this. So I'm going to talk to you. But if you don't want to get deep into it, we don't have to, because I know we're both hurt about it.
Yeah, that changes my perception of the scene completely, knowing that she probably definitely knows who he is, or at least recognizes him from the Final Festival as Pyrrha's team leader.
Something occurs to me, maybe maybe she knew like that was part of her attire that Scarfy had.
Well, I still don't. A lot of people say that is Pyrrha's actual sash, but a lot of people forget that Pyrrha was disintegrated into dust, so that sash does not exist anymore. It's gone. So it's just something that Jean added to his outfit to emulate Pyrrha or to represent her.
Yeah, that's what I was implying.
Yeah. But a lot of people are adamant that it's her actual sash. I'm like, no,
Nope.
It's not. It's gone. It's dust in the wind. Goodbye.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. Well,
I know. I still also granted, I agree with you on this, but I still have the argument all the time that I'm like, these kids can't possibly only have one version of this outfit. Like,
yeah, but why? It doesn't make sense why he would go back into Beacon to retrieve Pyrrha's other sash. It's like, I'm like,
yeah.
No,
it's like
he didn't do
there's
that.
no way. Like, he wouldn't go back through her things, go into Beacon while it's infested with Grimm just to get her prom dress or something.
Yeah, it makes sense that they had her weapons
That's
because they
borderline creep.
Yeah, it makes sense they had her weapon and a shield because they were on top of the tower when she died. So, but
And they got smelted down at Dijon.
they got smelted down at Dijon's. Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of sad that they didn't keep the shield at least, and give it back to her family or something like that. Because the weapon was fucked, but the shield wasn't.
I don't know. I think the part they should have given back is her headband.
Yeah.
I think that
was. They melted the headband down. I would think, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, especially because of the thing on the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was a shot there of Jean and Pyrrha's mother, we'll call her, looking at the statue where Jean was actually fiddling with the sash with his thumb, and it was such a subtle, tiny movement that I didn't even notice it the first time, and I saw it in my Discord, and I went back and watched it, and I was like, oh my gosh. It's like one of those tiny little details that's letting you know what Jean is sort of thinking and feeling in that moment without him actually saying anything.
Yeah, it was one of those moments. It was so subtle that even I'd heard people talk about it. I went back looking for it and I didn't see it the first time. I was like, where? It took me a second time through to be like, oh, he is messing with it. Yeah, because it's just so small.
Someone in my Discord made a GIF of it, so it was I saw that, and then I went back to the episode and watched it. And he fiddles with it, so it's so subtle that you wouldn't even notice that it's there unless somebody points it out. I'm amazed anybody saw it, but yeah, this whole scene was very bittersweet, and to hear Pyrrha's mother talk about her and talk about Sanctum and how they're all disappointed that she went to Beacon instead of Haven, but it was where she wanted to be. And her words to me sounded really not regretful, but
matter of fact.
Almost like she wished that Pyrrha had gone to Haven because she would still be alive if she had. But at the same time, she knew it was what Pyrrha wanted. It was where she wanted to be, and I don't think
that's the case, because if she had gone to Haven, she still would have gone to the Vital Festival, which was being held in Beacon. That wouldn't have changed anything.
It might have changed some things, but yeah, she still would have been there at Beacon for the festival. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have changed. It probably would have changed things in that Ozpin picking her to be the next Fall Maiden and stuff. Yeah. But her mom wouldn't know that.
No, her mom's not in that loop. But she definitely. It seems to me like she sort of wished that Pyrrha had gone to Haven, and that as far as she knows, she would have things would have been different. Maybe she would have lived. But at the same time, she knows that at the end, Pyrrha played a very important role in not saving Beacon Academy, but in she doesn't know what happened. That's the thing. She's not aware of how Pyrrha died, and she doesn't have any of that information. But she just knows that because of the kind of person Pyrrha was, she definitely was defending Beacon and defending her fellow students up until the very end.
Yeah. I mean,
She
we also
fulfilled
don't
her
know.
destiny as a huntress.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we also don't know that, like, the footage that... Because Mercury was live streaming the fall of Beacon basically up until the CCT tower went down. So we don't know how much, like, of just, like, when she was fighting in the streets with the others before she met up with Oz, how much of that maybe could have been
was in the
live streamed.
vault for a good amount of it, though.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe there would have been something of her, but not enough for everybody to glean anything from.
Yeah, I just hope that, like, I honestly, the only reason I hope that is because I don't want the last thing that her mom ever saw her do was tear a girl in half.
Yeah.
Like...
Quarters.
Yeah.
Awkward.
Onward.
Yeah, Pyrrha's just... The whole thing is so tragic. I just can't... I can't deal with it. She's like...
I'm just glad that Ren and Nora set Jean straight, telling him to stop putting himself as like a suicide run, because he's been fighting on grief and on grief alone pretty much since Volume 3 ended, is what it seemed like to me. And he just needed to get that grief out of his system and learn to accept that she may be gone, but she died for something. And because of that, we have the chance to save everyone else, and we need to make the most of it.
Yeah. I definitely feel like he's been very fatalistic since the end of Volume 3. Which grief
I think
do
it's
that
also
to you.
just... It's. I think it's also a lot of, like, just survivor's guilt on his part.
Yeah.
Where he's like, she was the superior fighter. I'm the one that should have died.
Yeah, it should have been
weaker.
It should have been me. Yeah, that's definitely... He definitely feels like he should have been the one to die in her place. But like he says here, you know, I think she knew that she wasn't going to come out of this alive, but she knew she was the only one who could try. And it's like, she was probably the only student in the entire school who could have even posed a threat to Cinder, which she did. And she would have won if she didn't make a few silly mistakes, probably, because Cinder was overconfident as hell. But
yeah, and there's also the fact that her semblance wasn't nearly as helpful as it could have been, because Cinder fought with glass, and that's not magnetic.
Yeah, exactly. She didn't have any weapons that Pyrrha could use against her or anything like that. So, but yeah, and I feel like a huge part of it too for Jean is the last time he ever saw Pyrrha. The fact that she like kissed him, and I think he sort of realized in that moment that he'd been completely blind to the way she'd felt about him up until that point. And he also didn't realize that he reciprocated that. And then she was immediately taken away from him. And that was it. And that's gotta fucking hurt. That is gotta be really painful for Jean to, like, have that big realization and be like, oh crap, Pyrrha has more feelings for me than I ever realized. And then she's immediately just dead. And, yeah, that's gotta fucking sting. So I feel like that's a lot of the reason why he's just so focused on the fact that Pyrrha didn't deserve to die. It should have been me. It shouldn't have been her, and like all of that kind of thing. And that's all the thoughts that have been going through his head, and it's sort of what's been fueling him and driving him forward. But here it's sort of, he has that shift from feeling guilty to using that energy to make something better out of their situation and to carry on and to move forward like Pyrrha would have wanted him to. I think that this scene is when he shifts from almost selfishly like dwelling
Angsty
on
teen.
the fact that of what he's lost is when he shifts to sort of
how to honor her.
Yeah, exactly. Wanting to move forward in her memory and doing what she would have wanted him to do, and sort of shifting to no longer remorsing over the fact that she's not here, and sort of accepting the fact that she's not here, and then moving on from that. Yeah, Ren and Nora in this scene, their expressions when they saw the statue, and the way Jean's just like, I'm sorry, I've been a terrible leader, I've been a terrible friend, and they're just like, you need to stop. I loved that Ren and Nora were that for him in this scene, and what finally broke me and really made me like just sob was Nora saying, we love you just like we loved Pyrrha. And
we don't want to lose you too.
We don't want to lose you too, yeah. And
that really hit home.
I don't think Jean...
As I said, that must have been a really big thing for Jean to be like, everything I'm feeling about Pyrrha right now, and they're feeling about Pyrrha right now, I could put them through again. Yeah, exactly. And how goddamn selfish of me.
Yeah, I think he realizes in that moment how ridiculous he's been, and like I don't think he ever thought about it like that until that moment. That, oh crap, I'm not the only one who lost Pyrrha.
Or like her death meant more to me than anyone else, and then he meets her mother, and his teammates come out and just say it like, we lost her too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we don't want to lose you the way we lost her. And for him, that would have been a big oh shit moment. Like I need to put my head in, and stop thinking about it that way, and start realizing that he has his own self-worth. I think a lot of his issues come from the fact that he doesn't value himself, and he doesn't give himself enough credit. Well, he was typecast as a vomit boy, so not a great starting point. Yeah. But he's come a very, very long way since Volume 1. Yes. And he's definitely a very, very capable individual now. And he does not give himself enough credit, and he doesn't think very highly of himself. RWBY is guilty of the same thing. And he's just ridden with guilt about the whole thing. So this was a nice turning point for Jean now, and something that he really needed to hear from not only Pyrrha's mother but from his teammates, was that he's not being fair to himself, and he needs to realize that they don't want to be put through the same thing again, and that he just can't do that to them, because it wouldn't be fair on them. And then he talks about the fact that Pyrrha knew she wasn't gonna make it out, and that, but she had to try because that was just the person that she was. I liked too that Nora was holding 2 cups of coffee, one for Jean, even though he was adamant he didn't want anything. I was like, I'm gonna get him one. But after
one thing, no, you finish what you were gonna say.
After Nora and Ren sort of walk off, and Jean has that moment where he just says thank you. He's not saying thank you to the statue, he's saying thank you to Pyrrha. But I feel like that thank you has a lot of different meanings to it. He's saying thank you for being who you were and for being a part of my life, but at the same time he's also saying thank you for reminding me that I need to pull my fucking head in. As well. I think that might be where he got the idea, because in the background, right behind that statue, there was an Atlas airship flying in the sky, and that might have been, she's telling me what we can do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did anybody else check that ship to be like, is it Winter's? Is it got the ribbons on it?
Because it would have been a weird spot for them to put Winter's ship in.
It really
Considering that we already have confirmation she got drawn back.
Yeah, she's in Atlas. Yeah. She's not here.
I mean, it was still an Atlas ship, so I mean, who knows? Maybe she's coming to check on Cordo. Be like, bitch, have you seen my sister?
Well, yeah, we don't know what Winter's up to at the moment. I have a feeling we're going to see her before Volume ends, though. She's going to be with Ironwood at some point, and we're going to see him at some point. So
I don't know if we'll see
a winter short.
I think we will. I think we'll see Ironwood. I don't see why.
I don't think so. Well, because their whole goal is they need to get to Ironwood. If we I feel like that they need to set up that'll be the first roadblock of Volume 7. Is okay. We need to talk to Ironwood.
I still feel like the story's moving along quick enough that we're going to reach that goal by the end of the volume. I just don't know. I can't foresee yet what this big event that's supposed to be happening in the finale is. Yeah, I don't know. But I feel like we're going to see Ironwood this volume. At least see him. If not talk to him, at least see him. But yeah, so that scene, yep, that was heartbreaking. Moving on. I like that they ended.
Well, one more thing I wanted to say about that scene is I'm very confused why at the start of that scene, Jean clearly walks in from the right of the park, but then Ren and Nora are looking from him from behind.
Oh my god, blocking in RWBY is a nightmare. They never seem to be able to quite get it right, but
So I was just like, but then it's the other thing too is when you look at the bench that Jean is sitting on, it looks like he could see where it was. It was just kind of obstructed.
Yeah.
Like it looks like he would just walk straight in, but he definitely walked in from the right.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, especially because the leaf definitely blew in from the front, not the right. So, yeah, I know it's just scene blocking. Haha. RWBY's bad
But if
at
that
scene
was the
blocking.
case, he would have been able to see it just by standing up and moving a couple of feet to the left.
RWBY's bad at scene blocking. That's just all that boils down to. I like that they ended the chapter on a positive note after giving us that. After all, in sobbing and in tears, then they give us a funny scene with Oscar and everyone else. Oh my god, Crow's pissing me off this volume. Crow
I know.
is pissing me off. I love Crow, but he is annoying the shit out of me this volume. There goes Elena again. He's just frustrating the crap out of me. And I like that RWBY sort of gave him what for in this scene, but
Something about that scene is when she's looking up at him and he's looking down from the stairs at her, I'm there. For some reason in my head, that makes me think there was a moment like this in Team Stark where he was just like, we just need to give up. We can't do this. And then Summer was the one who put him in his place, and he looked down like he didn't give her enough credit.
Yeah.
And now he sees she really is her mother's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a way they'll draw out the volume, is giving us a Stark flashback.
Oh,
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Please. We need to know.
If
so
they
many
do,
things.
I'm hoping voice actress Laura Bailey for Summer. Just personal preference.
Well, Laura Bailey already voiced Amber.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, it'd be a good choice, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who else they might pick for Summer, but yeah, oh my god, I need to know so much more about Team Stark. And so far this has been a volume for answering questions we've had for a long time. So I don't know if they're going to
We
keep
know
that
Ty
trend
can
up
fight,
or
and
not.
we've never seen his weapons, and it's been 6 volumes already.
I know. But oh goodness, hang on. Cory, keep talking. I'm getting messages from Elena here.
yeah, I saw that.
Same.
Oh, her internet dropped. Okay.
So they pick Crow up, which is, I don't know. As you said, he's so frustrating because it's like,
Drinking to cope, drinking to forget, and just this whole thing is pointless. Let's just give it up. It's just just quit putting your bad luck and bad attitude on anyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
One of those you can help.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Even they have the moment when they're inside where he's like, I'm just not going to ruin your celebration and everything. But it's like, well, you could try, he even talks about, you're having your little moment and stuff. And it's like, you could maybe follow in their footsteps and, try to forgive Ozpin or try to,
It's
find
it's
some peace
solely
in all
his
this.
fault that Ozpin isn't there in the first place.
Yeah. He could try to find some peace in this and make some peace in their situation, but instead he's just like, wah, I'm drinking, wah.
I
And
know,
I'm like,
he's pissing me off.
That may be emo.
yeah.
But at
Exactly.
the same
Sure, I
time,
thought that.
at the same time, though, I do get him, and I get that
Mhm.
he's been through a lot,
Yeah.
and he's had a rough go of it. So, and
I'm still fully convinced he's the one that broke the news to Ty that Summer was dead.
Oh,
I'm
totally.
convinced he was responsible somehow, or indirectly responsible.
I think he just showed up too late.
Yeah, could be that as well. But we still know, in the grand scheme, we still know so little about Cory and about his past and about his life, and that's why I want the Team Stark flashbacks so bad, because there's so much we need to know about all of those characters, not just Cory and Ty.
Like it's so funny because like this volume we've gone through everybody, like literally with this episode, like everybody has basically sorted their shit. Like we had Maria sorting her shit out, and now we've had Juniper sorting theirs, and
Even
like,
Oscar
granted-
sorted through shit now.
yeah, even Oscar too. And so it's like literally all we have left is Crow, and then maybe a little bit of like Bumblebee because they've got the whole Atom thing going for them. But like other than that,
Crow's
Crow
bundle
has a
of
lot
shit,
of-
though, is significantly larger than everybody else's bundles of shit. And,
Weiss's
you're
bundle
right,
of shit is still there.
Yang and Blake still haven't talked, so that still needs to happen too. I'm like, oh my god, there's like how many chapters left? 4?
or
They don't have.
It's
time
like,
for
hey,
all of
guess
this.
what? You two are in the house with a woman married to another woman. Make babies already.
Good lord. Ignoring that, moving on. I'm not going to
I'm
start
sorry,
a shipping
is there
war.
too much Bumblebee
I'm not
trash for
going to
you?
start a shipping war in the comments right now. But
Hammer time needs your ship to become true.
oh my gosh, Hammer Time is trash. I'm kidding. I love Hammer Time. She's great. Yeah. So what the fuck was I talking about? I don't know. I like that this episode ended on this scene where everybody sort of comes together and they're like, oh, did you find Oscar? No, we didn't find him. And then he literally opens the door and he's like, oh, hi guys. Like he hasn't been missing all day. But like I like too that they all completely overreacted and he literally just went to the tailor.
Yeah.
That's where he's been all day. I don't know if he has a
Loving the
scroll or
duds.
anything with which to communicate
Yeah,
with them.
I was literally gonna say we need to get this boy a frickin' scroll.
I know, he needs a scroll.
Goddamn, they
Photo.
need to be able to text this boy, "Where are you?"
Yeah, exactly. They need to be able to contact him. I'm like, why doesn't he have a phone? But how do you guys feel about Oscar's new outfit? Because I like it, but I don't love it.
I feel they used a very good use of colors. The belt seems weird to me because it's like, why does he have that orange sash in the middle there? It's like, what is that, a wrestler's belt? That just doesn't fit.
What doesn't work for
a
me
cummerbund.
is the fact that it's green, orange, and red. Like that doesn't work for me. The orange and the red are clashing for me.
I actually
Yeah,
disagree with that because red and green are complementary colors and they make each other pop. The same thing happens with Linda with her yellow hair and purple cape. It
Yeah,
makes the
I'd
other
be
one
fine
pop
if
out.
it was just red and green, but the orange is throwing me off. I'm like, the orange looks weird in there.
It's his original color, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna
it's
say,
like
it's-
keeps him to his roots, like Jean's hoodie.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think that him adopting the green jacket is him accepting that like his Ozma-ness, but like he's still keeping like he's still keeping his gloves and keeping like the general color with the boots and stuff to be like, but I'm still Oscar.
It's
Yeah.
like Osmond said, with every rebirth, my soul is eventually merged with another, and I am changed, but the memories are still with me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And is that his symbol on his back? That sword in the back of the collar?
I don't know. I didn't notice it.
I didn't notice it either.
It's like right across like the back on his shoulder blades. There's a sword in the red material.
Oscar's a farm boy. I feel like he wouldn't have a symbol. Probably.
Yeah.
If so, it's probably a very confused-looking pitchfork.
Or maybe he could. Yeah, confused pigfork.
I would
My
love
God.
that symbol.
That's my new nickname for Oscar. Confused pitchfork.
Yes.
Again, it could be one that he made up for himself as well. So, but
Should be fine.
Jesus. I like that Oscar's new outfit looks like so old worldly. Like it's kind of showing like the wisdom and age of Ozma, but it's still Oscar at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Oscar looks the most like Ozma out of all of the other Ozma forms we've seen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that was very
There's got to
deliberate,
be some
though.
purpose for that.
Yeah, I felt like that was very deliberate, that Ozma looked so much like Oscar.
They even sound almost exactly alike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I don't know. I'd like his outfit, too, because it makes him look kind of, like, wizardy.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, back during Volume 4, I think, I saw, like, people do concept art for like, what a Oscar outfit would look like in combat gear, and it's very, very similar to what we got.
Yeah.
And I was actually looking to see if I could try to find it again, but I sadly couldn't find the fan art that I saw back then.
That makes sense, because like that's exactly how Velvet's outfit came to be. They just color shift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could be a case too if they either like married together a bunch of different fan designs with people's permission, or like those fan arts were just incredibly accurate to what they already had in mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, like they talk about how like one of their design for, I can never remember her name, skateboard chick from Team Auburn. Reese, yes. They basically had the design for Reese, and then somebody else like were like, here's my OC, and it was basically the same character, and they were like, oh no.
Awkward, yeah. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that does happen pretty often. Like, I mean, Dishwasher 1910's literally predicted events with his art before, and it's like, we're all watching the show, and we're all paying attention to it, and learning the world and the way that it works as we go along. So it's not surprising that people, predict stuff like that with their art. But also, Rooster Teeth has had a history of seeing something cool and then asking that person if they can use it and then using it. So, yeah, the kitten, get your white rose out of the chat. I just noticed that.
Insert cackle.
Yeah, so... sorry. I keep getting messages from Elena and it's making noise. Let's just turn that off. Whoops. Hang on. What was that, Cory?
I didn't say anything.
I thought you said something. Yeah, so... It was nice to hear Oscar talk about how, like, he definitely wants to help, even though he knows that he's not sure how much time he's got left and how much longer he's going to be himself, and he knows that the end of this is not good for him, but he just is figuring, well, there's nothing I can do about it. I may as well do what I can with whatever time I've got left. I love that he has that attitude about it, because he could so easily have gone the other way and nobody would blame him for it. But I love that he's got that attitude.
I'm not even sure he's going to stop being himself. The story that we got from Jin makes me think that it's almost a one-sided fusion. Like, yes, Ozpin is there. He's always there and can always be tapped into and contacted. But for the most part, Oscar will stay Oscar. It's more Ozpin that's going to be changed by Oscar's attitude, Oscar's personality. He's going to absorb part of that and carry it over into his next life. And Oscar's just going to get access to all of Ozpin's memory.
I mean, the Ozpin that we knew at Beacon, though, he was definitely Ozma, like, as we know him to have been now. It was definitely, seems like it was the same person, like, and his voice was the same, and he didn't seem like he had a person talking in his head the whole time, but hey, what do we know?
Yeah, plus what we saw in Jin's story is that moment when, like, Ozma seemed to be the one in control of the body of Ozma 2.0, and it was
Ozma.
It was the other one's voice. I can't remember. I think it is the person we traditionally. It was Shannon's voice that was the voice of the one in the head, who was like, "What are we doing?" And Ozma's voice was the one that was coming like from the person.
Yeah.
So that's what makes me think that, like, eventually Oscar will become the voice in the head.
Yeah. Eventually
I
they'll
hope not,
become
though.
one and the same.
True.
I am Legion, for we are many, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it will still be Oscar, but it will be Oscar plus this incredibly aged soul that's made up of countless other souls. That's how I see Ozma. I see him as a soul who is, or as a being who is made up of countless souls. So, like, every time he inhabits a new soul, he eventually absorbs that soul, and that soul becomes part of him. They don't necessarily go away, but it all becomes part of the same being. And
Sounds very Avatar to me.
well, yeah, but
Except more fusion.
yeah, so, but like Ozpin, I feel like he's no different from how we knew him before he died, and became and like inhabited Oscar. I feel like he hasn't changed at all from then. But I feel like with every new soul, he learns more, and he every person that he becomes a part of changes him in some way. So the Oz,
Which is exactly what he said.
yeah, the Oz that will exist by the time he becomes one with Oscar will be a different Oz from the Ozpin that we knew. He'll be Ozker, probably, not Ozpin. So, I wonder what Ozpin's name was before he became Ozpin.
Ozpin might have been his name, because there's always some... It seems like most of his lives have some kind of Oz element in it, like Oscar, Ozpin, Ozma, that kind of thing. I'm sure one of them was an Osborn.
Osborn. Osborn. Oh, yeah, Osborn. Yeah, so, and it was like...
Salem, I'm having another flashback!
This was just a nice scene in general of, like, everybody being like, oh my god, you had us so worried, like, are you okay? And Nora's like, what are you wearing? And, like, complimenting his new threads and all that kind of stuff, and, just generally being relieved that he's okay and he's not. If I was them, I would be kind of mad. I'd be like, why didn't you call us? You need a fucking scroll ASAP.
I'm hoping that we get to see Oscar's semblance soon, if he does awaken to it.
Oh, he will have to.
I don't know. I mean, it depends when next he gets in a fight, basically.
Yeah.
Well, that might not necessarily be the case, because some people's semblances unlock in very different means.
Yeah.
Like,
It
if
depends
Oscar
what
gets
it is,
completely
too.
stressed out, he could just unlock it on a fluke.
It depends what it is too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, his
So-
might just be, like his might just be something like an aura of calming or something.
Yeah, but, so Crow walking up the stairs here and Ruby being like, where are you going now? I'm all here for sassy Ruby lately. It's been absolutely great. I love that she's just fed up with Crow, and you can absolutely tell it. She's just, like, fed up with his shit. And just his...
I was convinced she was going to break that bottle over his head a few episodes back.
I know, right?
I'm just
wanted
like,
her
oh,
to.
you gonna die.
You are going to die. Ruby's going to kill you.
Drunkle down.
Yeah, but, where she's like, you've been gone all day, just sit with us, let's just try and enjoy what's left of the day together. And,
Let's just...
when, I just completely skipped over Jean apologizing to Oscar. I was like, that was huge of him to do that. And to be so sincere about it and be like, I was being a massive douchebag. Sorry about that. And
I was so hoping Weiss would be Weiss and say, yeah, you were.
but I love that Jean isn't above that. He doesn't let ego get in the way of him admitting when he's made a mistake and being like, I was being a prick. Sorry about that. I won't do it again. You didn't deserve that. And Oscar being like, no, it's fine. I get it. I get, I'm afraid of the same things that you are. And I just love Jean for being the bigger person and being willing to step up and say, I fucked up, sorry about that. But I feel
They're
like...
about to fuck up even more if Volume 10, the episode 10 is what we're about to find out.
I wonder if he's going to tell Team RWBY about the statue too, or if he's going to keep it to himself. We probably won't see it either way, but it's just,
Yeah.
just a thought.
Maybe they already knew.
I don't think they knew. They probably would have mentioned it. But,
True.
yeah, I feel like he probably will, but it's probably something we won't get to see. But, yeah, RWBY... Jean saying that he has an idea of, like, you know, if we can't get to Atlas legally, then let's do it illegally. Very illegally. And Weiss's line of, that's not just breaking the law, that's definitely worse. Like, she's not even sure what kind of laws this is breaking, but she knows this is not good.
She's like, is this treason?
Is this treason?
She was
like...
terrorism?
She was a stowaway to get to Mistral. Maybe they could do something like that the reverse way, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's probably, like, thinking, like, is this going to get us in big trouble when we get to Atlas? Is probably her main concern.
This just reminded me so much of back in Volume 2. She's like, how do we do it? We mail ourselves there.
We mail ourselves there. Exactly. And then Crow being like, okay, you realize we're going up against the Atlas military here. Like, this is not a walk in the park. This isn't the White Fang.
We can't fight our way out of this. If we go up against this and we don't pull it off perfectly, we die.
We're fucked. Yeah, essentially.
That's the first sensible thing he said there.
I know, right? That's the first sensible thing he said all Volume.
The first sensible thing he said all morning, and it's already nighttime.
Yeah. But RWBY sort of being like, actually, bitch, I want to do it our way, was really good. And, like, being like, I want to hear him out. And he's immediately trying to shut it down. And she's like, I want to hear him out. Like, shut up, Crow. You're being an idiot. Like, we're out of options. This is the only thing anyone's suggesting that we should do. We might be able to pull it off. Who knows? But,
if you think you can keep up with us kids was a good line.
And she had a lot of good lines here. She was like, I know you're just trying to protect us, and you're afraid we can't do it, but I don't really give a shit what you think right now. And, like, the look on Crow's face when she said that, I was like, oh. Fucking burn, Crow. Do you need some aloe vera for that? But... Careful,
you might want to lay off the alcohol because you're on fire, bitch.
And then she's like, just because you can't think of what to do next, it doesn't mean we're all out of ideas. And, like, just letting loose at him because he's being such a dick, and she's letting him know that he's being a dumbass. And, like, dude, we have options. There are still things that we can do. And you being like, we can't do it, is not getting them anywhere. So, and she's like, she's kind of, like, in no uncertain terms saying, did you forget that every single one of us survived the fall of Beacon, and we know what it's like to be in a shitty situation, and we just did it our way, and, like, we just fought our way through and did it the way we knew best. And she's like, so we're gonna do it our way, you just do what you want.
Yeah, like, it for me, ever since seeing this story from Jin, is like, they're not set in stone done yet. There's always something more they can do. It's, like, very dependent on hubris. The hubris they used was that Salem can't be killed or destroyed. It doesn't mean that she can't be defeated.
Yeah.
How they do that, however, is very difficult and very convoluted and requires a lot of thinking. I feel like because of magic coming from the God of Darkness, Silver Eyes might have some way to harm Salem, but definitely not kill her. Because she has magic. But that concerns me, what's going to happen to Oscar, because Ozma is one of the two people alive who can still use magic, aside from the maidens. So if Oscar is fused with Ozma, what happens if those two things line up?
Yeah, I definitely don't think Salem can be killed. I don't think that's how this is going to end. But there has to be a way to take her down.
She has to understand and embrace the balance between life and death, is what the gods of light and darkness told her.
Yeah.
Then she'd be allowed to rest. The question they would have for Jin then would be, how do we do that? But that would pertain to the future, so she wouldn't be able to safely answer them.
Yeah. Yeah, so
That's what goes through my mind, at least.
I like that they ended the chapter on the scene, and then Maria's one line in the episode stealing the scene once again. Looks like you didn't give her enough credit either, and like the way Ruby looks at Crow at the end there, she's like, just try and start an argument with me right now. You're not going to win.
I love Ruby's face there.
I know.
So I'm literally like, I want to have that framed.
It's just like, this is the face of, I will set you ablaze right now.
Yeah. Ruby's character...
Try me, bitch.
Ruby's character development this volume has been amazing so far.
It's exactly the same thing as the fight at Haven. It's like, are you okay? No, I'm angry.
Yeah, I'm angry.
Favorite line.
Yeah.
And I love that she's getting more of these facets to her character finally after all these years. She's finally getting to stand in the spotlight where she belongs and where she thrives. And she's more of a leader now than she ever was before, where she's like literally, she's like, Crow, I've had enough of your shit. Okay, we're doing it this way, and that's all there is to it. So shut the fuck up and help
Someone
us.
get me some coffee because we need to sober up this old man. We gotta go.
Yeah. Cory just seriously needs to pull his bloody head in. But yeah. So, chapter 9. Yeah. I don't. We're not going to talk too much about predictions for chapter 10 because I have read the description, and the next chapter
It's already out.
is going to be more or less what I was predicting anyway. So, as far as I know from the description, anywho. And we're going to go react to it later today. So, well, Cory's probably going to do it right after this. But, I have to go to work. Ha! Lucky me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, this chapter was a roller coaster of emotion. But, it was incredible. And it was... It's what a much needed talk needs to be. Like, this was a much needed talk, but like it wasn't boring, it didn't feel forced, it holds
one of
up
the
on
greatest
subsequent
examples of
viewings.
how non-combat scenes can still keep viewers entertained and enthralled.
Yeah. And it's literally when you look at it at the bare bones of this episode, all they did was show us a statue and a woman we've never met, and it had us all in blubbering tears. And it's like, because the emotion of it is so raw, and the loss of Pyrrha is a thing I don't think the fandom's ever going to get over. So, but it's nice. I think the fandom will heal when the characters heal. But the thing is, these characters like Jean especially and Nora and Ren are never going to get over Pyrrha's death. But
one thing I did notice, actually, that occurred to me like way after I saw the episode the first time, was like when John said, "This team isn't the same way without you," then it hit me. Oscar's last name is Pine. He could be another member of Team Juniper.
Yeah, Cory always had that theory that he would be not replacing, but
very bad word
subbing
there.
in for Pyrrha on Team Juniper, which is
My
where they've
other-
been pointing this, definitely.
Well, my other theory was, and this one originated back during Volume 3, was when Penny had her whole, like, I have an idea how I can stay here thing. My theory then, and it still kind of holds potentially, but was that Penny would be the one to replace Pyrrha. But granted, they kind of got to get to Atlas and see how Penny's doing and everything. But
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, it is more likely that it's Oscar, but, I mean, Oscar's going to have to go off and do, like, I don't know, wizard things at some point.
I don't know, though.
He
Will
has to go and do wizard things. My people need me!
I feel like while he can still make his own choices, he's going to stick with the group. I feel like he does like these people, and he looks up to them, and he knows they can teach him a lot of things that he wouldn't necessarily be able to learn on his own. And they're also his protection squad right now, so he needs them, and they need him. So, but I'm just also loving Ozpin being gone at the moment, because it's allowing Oscar a chance to actually shine through as a character all in his own, and to like remind them that, hey, I'm not just Ozpin's meat sack. I am a person, and I am my own person, and I do have feelings, and I have my own thoughts. because I feel like they all need to be reminded of that at certain stages. RWBY's the only one who's consistently really remembered that Oscar is a thing. Like, especially Crow seems to forget about him very easily.
Yeah, it's like, you're your own person. Don't lie to him, Ruby. He's like,
Yeah.
you shut the fuck up.
You shut up, Crow. And I feel like RWBY has been a hugely positive influence on Oscar. If RWBY wasn't in this group, Oscar would be lost at this point. But
It's like, who stuck an apathy in his bag, huh?
I know, right? Yeah, fucking Crow. I really hope he pulls his head in, and soon.
Yeah.
Or at least pulls it out of his ass.
Yeah, so I think we should wrap this ish up because we've been going for nearly 2 hours, and
And you've got to get
I'm
going.
conscious of the time. So
Yeah, I was watching it too.
Same.
Thank you, Crimson and Elena, for joining us for the Boopcast this
I'll
week.
tell her you said thanks.
Yeah. Sorry about all the technical issues, everybody. We will be back next week on the regular day at the regular time for the Boopcast. And Chapter 10 is currently out on roosterteeth.com, so if you have a first membership, you can go and watch that. If you don't have a first membership, Chapter 9 is out for the public on roosterteeth.com. All the links will be in the description.
Yeah. Also, if you get a first membership today, it will last you through the volume.
Yeah, now is
you can
the time.
You can watch the last 4 episodes of the volume the second they premiere.
Now is the time.
So now
For
is the
those of you
best
who are
time.
interested in the RWBY board game, they do deliver that with a certificate for the holiday season for a 1-month Rooster Teeth first membership. So you can use that and watch through the rest of the volume.
And everybody who hasn't used the 30-day free trial before, there is a 30-day free trial for Rooster Teeth First. So if you activate that now, you will get to watch the rest of Volume 6 as it comes out. Because there are 3 chapters left after today. So,
And, I mean, even if you have, it's only $5.
Yeah.
It's only $5.
It's $5 once, and you get to watch the rest of RWBY as it comes out. And also directly support the show, which is important as well. RWBY cannot exist without first members. So,
Yes.
it's not just about the exclusivity, it's about making sure that the show continues and continues to be the best that it can be. And also being on roosterteeth.com has allowed them so much more creative freedom as well. So to really allow the show to be what they want it to be.
I was arguing with a person earlier today about that, but we won't get into that because you need to go.
Yes, I do. But thank you guys so much for watching the Boopcast. If you're watching on YouTube, Cory and my reactions to Chapter 9 will be up at the moment, and we will see you all next week. Oh, no, Cory's is still blocked. His will be up soon. His will be up
Please
next
watch
week.
it, I cry.
This will be a cut camera.
I look forward to watching everyone's reactions this week because I'm like, every single one of us is going to cry. And there's not going to be a single dry eye in the house.
I just saw Arnold's.
The RWBY Reactor house will be swimming in salty tears. So, yeah, I plan on watching them all later. But, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week. Goodbye, everyone!
Bye, everyone! Bye.